If you don't know how to die, don't worry. Nature will tell you what to do on the spot, fully and adequately. She will do this job perfectly for you. Don't bother your head about it. People fear death even more than pain. It's strange that they fear death. Life hurts a lot more than death. And at the point of death, the pain is over. Yeah, I guess it's a friend. Fear of death is ridiculous, because as long as you're not dead, you are alive. And when you are dead, there's nothing more to worry about. If death meant just leaving the stage long enough to change costume and come back as a new character, would you slow down or speed up? Truly, I tell you, whoever obeys my word will never see death. Nothing can happen more beautiful than death. Well, that is certainly an upbeat way to begin this review. Surviving Death, the new Netflix documentary series, explores questions that have been contemplated throughout time. What does it mean to die? And is death the end of our experience? This is a 6-episode documentary that tackles some topics that could cause some deep conversations. Topics like near-death experiences, to mediums, to ghosts or spirits, and even reincarnation are examined. I really liken this that the documentary just doesn't talk to the hardcore believers in a subject. Take near-death experiences, or NDEs for example. The main interviewee is a physician, so she's approaching her entire experience with a level-headedness, almost scientific at times. She's discussing her experiences and all the while building a good story that connects because it's got a great level of detail to it. The show also intersperses some reenactment footage, but it's not the cheesy kind. It almost feels like we're watching the real events going on. I also appreciate that while they interview and get accounts from people that believe in all the phenomena the series is covering, they still include those that are skeptical. When the series gets to the section on mediums, they talk to it with a guy who wants to believe. I mean, he's sort of like Fox Mulder, but he's also grounded like Scully. He wants to get proof, so he doesn't outright believe what someone says just because they're self-proclaimed psychics. We get introductions to several mediums, and I like that the series dives into how they attempt to help people when it comes to death and loved ones who have passed. And one thing in the segment that examines mediums, though, had probably the exact opposite reaction for me than what they were going for. There's one medium who does seances and even leads classes on how to be a medium. Now forgive me if I become utterly skeptical of her abilities at this point, because she breaks into voices and personas. Assumably, they're the spirit guides around her. As she speaks at them in the most ridiculous voices and as they're introducing themselves, they go into great detail about what their role is. I call BS. But either way, I laughed out loud multiple times as her scenes contain these events. It was just too funny. For me, probably the most intriguing portion of the series was the topic of reincarnation. Well, more so the people they interviewed and the results that were uncovered as a result. I did feel that one family was a bit out of bounds though. They contacted another family with some information, and to them, it made sense. To pretty much anyone on the outside though, it was wildly insensitive and probably very disturbing. I like that the show balances interviews with the true believers of whatever topic is being discussed with academic experts, and not just those that call themselves experts because they believe they can speak to the dead or believe that they were George Washington in some past life. No, we get the academics, people who have spent the majority of their professional careers examining the data, and I really appreciate that most of them pursue these seemingly unbiased. They're gathering all the info and then let the evidence, or lack thereof, guide their conclusions. As you can imagine, this is a heavier show to consume. After the first episode, it was later at night and I just wanted to watch something a bit lighthearted before going to sleep. But dang it, at the end of every episode, they give a teaser of what's to come. And most times it's just a sentence or two of dialogue. But man, every single time, they made me want to keep watching. I ended up watching this over 2 days just to give my heart and brain a break. The content can be heavy and a bit depressing, but there are other times where it feels more hopeful too. For me, this isn't a perfect documentary series. Be sure there are a lot of interesting topics and ideas covered, but not all of it held me spellbound. There were 2 episodes, and I think they're 4 and 5, that felt the weakest to me, both in scientific insight as well as execution. Some of it felt like they were more closely related to like some BuzzFeed episode than what had come from earlier episodes in the series. I felt the final episode was pretty solid, but then it just ends, like just done. No wrap-up conclusion to everything we've seen and heard, no recap of the entire show. It just fades to black and rolls the credits. It was a clunky and awkward way to finish, and it didn't feel finished. I think overall this is an interesting watch and one that has the potential to spark conversation and debate. Is there enough proof offered to make you change your mind? I'm not sure about that. But I do think it can make you think about some of these, even for just a brief moment. If though you're solid in your beliefs, this can still be entertaining, even if you just watch the episode with the medium teacher. I mean that as in psychic terms. I'm not really certain of her size. She may be a small medium teacher. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Please don't unsubscribe. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and some descriptions of violence. I recommend checking out Surviving Death on Netflix. So death is a pretty dark topic. How about you write something that makes you utterly happy in the comments below? Hopefully it will bring joy to others too. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.